Hello, Starshine. My name is Liz, and this is my channel, Simsational Stories. If you have not seen my videos before and you enjoy this one, please like and subscribe. And maybe check out my Facebook page, where this whole thing began, as well. All relevant links are in the description below, and of course, if you're a Sims player and you'd like to download any of the characters featured in my stories, just search the hashtag Simsational Stories on the Sims 4 gallery. All original content is created by This Is Not Eric. Alrighty then. So, welcome. And what is up, Buttercup? Are you having a good day or a bad day? Whichever your answer, please allow me to distract you from your life and tell you a story, a Simsational story. Before I begin though, I'd like to issue this blanket content and trigger warning. The following story is just Sims, hey. I'm not going to apologise for treating them terribly, if that's what I've done. But I do want to assure you now that although I mean absolutely no harm, I completely understand if you feel unable to consume my content. Many loves, and we will catch each other on the internet elsewhere. Okay, so now we've gotten that over with, let's go. Today's story is from The Ascension of Anastasia, and we're at chapter 5. If you have not seen previous chapters and would like to catch up, there are playlists available on my channel so you can hear the entire story in chronological order. The rest of us are going to move on from where we left off last time though. So without further ado, Anastasia and Anton Lewis had been together since high school, almost 15 years. But that was all over now, and they were getting divorced. Their first meeting with the divorce lawyer did not go well. Anastasia was furious that Anton had dared to bring his girlfriend, the maid who she'd caught him cheating on her with, and Anton, in turn, was furious about a vlog Anna had recently released online in which she aired out all their dirty laundry. After the viral success of her first video, Anna continued to vlog her divorce experience, and Anton wanted her to stop. It was too late to retract her statements about him. He knew that. But did she have to keep bringing it all up? She was defaming him and damaging his reputation. He'd been asked about it at work, and it was embarrassing. And besides, wasn't she making money from this? He was probably entitled to some of that money, since it was all about him. Anna argued that her vlog definitely wasn't about him. It was about her, and she never mentioned him by name, so he had no claim to any of it. Barely any of her content was even personal anyway. It might have been 1 in 5 videos that were life updates, while the rest were beauty tips or product reviews. Anton had no legal right to stop her from vlogging, and he definitely wasn't going to get any of the money she was making. He was never getting anything from her ever again. Anastasia had come a long way in the 3 months since she had come home to find her husband cheating on her in the bathroom with their maid. At first, she had been devastated, broken-hearted, and empty. She lost herself for a while there. But then, somehow, she came upon the idea of telling her story, and in doing so, she had begun to heal. She was also buoyed by the success of her video. The groundswell of support from her fanbase had been huge. Anastasia was finally looking and feeling good again. Getting divorced had always been one of her worst fears, but now that it was happening, she was surprised to find herself empowered by the process. Anton had always held so much power in her mind until now, but the more distance she got from him and their relationship, the more toxic she realized he had been. He had always tried to control her too. That time was gone now. Even the way Anton would bring Audrey to their divorce proceedings and behave with her didn't bother Anastasia anymore. They were beneath her. She just wanted to get this done and never have to see or speak to either one of them ever again. They could kiss and giggle all they liked. She knew Anton's games for what they were now, and although she was disgusted with him as a person, he no longer held power over her like he once had. When Anton realized that Anastasia had genuinely outgrown him, she wasn't just pretending, this was real. He became surprisingly cooperative with the rest of the divorce proceedings. He had previously been demanding spousal support. However, one day he suddenly dropped all that and agreed to Anna's offer to buy him out of the house and otherwise have a clean break. It had been 6 months since their separation, and Audrey was 4 months pregnant with her first child, a little girl they planned to name Cassandra. She and Anton had been very surprised just a month ago with the result of a test Audrey had only done on a whim. Her period had always been irregular, and she hadn't paid much attention to the weight gain until Anton said something. After a confirmation visit with her doctor, she and Anton had begun planning in earnest. Anastasia didn't care, though. She was surprised at herself. She had spent the better part of the last decade trying to fall pregnant with Anton, and yet, now that they were divorced and he was having a baby with another woman, not just any woman, but the very woman whom he had cheated on her with, all she could feel was relieved. Relieved and happy. She was so much better off without Anton, and her life was far from empty. She had her dog Snow, and she had her career. Anna's career was going really well. She had finally gotten her big break, a recurring role on the successful period drama The Waiting Room. She was playing the role of Lady Helena Boddington and had signed a 6-episode contract with the option of future work if the audience responded well to her. The Waiting Room aired weekly on Sundays, and Anastasia was so excited to be given such a huge opportunity to advance her acting career. Lady Helena was introduced to the audience as Duchess Edwina's illegitimate wayward daughter from her own youthful escapades. Anna had to wear a ridiculous red wig to increase her resemblance to the Duchess, but she didn't mind. She was just so thankful to be there. The Waiting Room was a prime-time soap opera whose recurring stars became household names. Anastasia's first scene on set was invigorating. She felt such a rush being in front of the camera, and she knew, deep within herself, that she had never acted better than she did on that day. Every line came straight from her very heart, and her eyes were glistening with real tears as her on-screen mother welcomed her to the estate and show. It was while filming The Waiting Room that Anastasia met Emmanuel Valdivia. Emmanuel was a minor celebrity himself, guest starring on the show, and he was in fact playing Lady Helena's love interest. The pair were introduced by the casting director over lunch the week after Anna started on the show, on Emmanuel's first day of filming. He was still in costume and looked very charming. The chemistry between Anastasia and Emmanuel was obvious to everyone on set. They all said it was only a matter of time before the two of them got together. But Anastasia was hesitant to start dating so soon after her divorce. She was only just starting to get a feel for her single self, and even if Emmanuel was the hottest guy she'd ever seen, and he was, maybe she should wait. She didn't know if she was ready for this yet. Emmanuel didn't care to wait, though. He was all about living in the now, and he wanted to take Anna out to lunch right now. Her divorce meant nothing to him, except that some fool of another man had had her and been mad enough to let her go. Well, so what? Everybody has history, a past, places they've been, and people they've been with. And everybody has been hurt, too. But you couldn't let that stop you from living and loving again. She had to come to lunch with him. She could only resist his charms for so long, and finally one day Anastasia agreed to go to lunch with Emmanuel. They slipped over to Windenburg to try to avoid the paparazzi and have a quiet day together. As they snacked on croissants and coffee, Anna felt like a teenager again, with the butterflies growing in her stomach at every little touch and moment of eye contact. Emmanuel was a consummate flirt and very charming. It didn't take long for what little resolve Anastasia had left to dissolve itself under the charismatic appeal Emmanuel exuded. He had always told her that all he needed was for her to give him a chance. And he was right. He kissed her with a fire and passion that made her forget herself and where they were, forget everything but him and his lips, his hands on her body, and his tongue in her mouth. When Emmanuel kissed her, Anastasia was lost and never wanted to be found again. Taking Emmanuel home with her that afternoon had never been the plan, but it was undoubtedly what happened. Anastasia had only ever been with one man her entire life, her ex-husband, Anton, and in all the years they spent together, she had never experienced anything like what happened that afternoon with Emmanuel. He was as consummate a lover as he was a flirt, with a magical mouth and a generous nature. They spent the whole afternoon, night, and next morning making love together in her bedroom, barely taking bathroom breaks. They were sustained by all manner of snacks Anastasia already kept hidden in her bedside drawers, and it was only the need for real food that convinced them to go downstairs at all. Emmanuel made Anastasia almost forget that she had ever been married. Life with Anton seemed like a bad dream compared to what she had now. And that brings us to the end of Chapter 5 of The Ascension of Anastasia. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can tune in soon to hear the next chapter. Or like I said, look us up on Facebook. Bye!